Hello everybody, JP Moss here. Thank you for subscribing to my channel on YouTube. It's my private blog videos I've been posting here on YouTube these days. What that means is that apart from research videos I normally put out, recently I've decided to sidestep the norm and go into posting my private blog videos. And so you're going to get the introduction like, hi everybody, because I know you're watching them, but ordinarily this would be my diary, and I wouldn't share this. I tend to be very guarded about what I put out there, believe it or not. I don't just post everything. You probably noticed Facebook page, there's been these channeling messages coming through from Beniico. She's the extraterrestrial human hybrid female that I assert that I'm connected to. I say that like that because long ago there was a lady claiming to be Army intelligence who believed that she was a remote viewer, that she had remote viewing skills. Said that she was going to cut the surveillance with me and let the teams and CIA carry on. That she and another colleague tried to tell them, and she believed in karmic balance, and so she wanted to try to tell me these things to bring karma to her life. The staff sergeant, and without giving names, was a blonde woman that told me very candidly, the CIA really shot themselves in the foot, Jason, when they brought you that girl you call Beniico, and they know you're asserting that you've got some contact and connection with her. But they will never admit that to themselves, because in so doing, they have to admit defeat, and they don't like to admit when they're wrong. She said, in this case, it's hard to say this about my colleagues, is what she told me. I'm just quoting her. She said that it's hard to say this about my colleagues, she said, because I respect them, and they don't like to be wrong. But she said in this instance, they have failed, they have dropped the ball. They brought you that extraterrestrial human hybrid to scare you, to frighten you. And what's ended up happening is you've somehow connected with her. And she said, as a remote viewer and a psychic, me and my other colleagues can feel and see and sense that she's in you, walking in you. And in fact, talking to you, she told me, I can feel her there, hearing and feeling everything I'm saying, and I don't get the sense that she controls what you do or say. And I told this staff sergeant, because I was in the Army myself, I was a private E2, private second class, and I was still privy to the training I got in the Army, and I was saying to her, yes, staff sergeant, no, staff sergeant. It's stuck in my head. I probably still do it today. And I said, well, staff sergeant, I have nothing against anybody. I've always wanted to work with everyone, but nobody wants to work with me. You know, I've always wanted to cooperate. I'm an American. I served in the Army. I've been a volunteer firefighter. You know, and I can back everything up I'm saying with paperwork I have in my briefcase. I've got everything I can put online and validate everything I'm saying. And my records are in Arpison, Illinois, in the inactive Ready Reserves, the IRR, Army Reserves headquarters in Arpison, Illinois. You know, I said I was ready not to be an intelligence agent or officer, but to cooperate. I said this is before they wiped my memories of interacting with Beniico in the early 90s. And so there was some time there where I have recollection of the encounter with her. So that's the 1990s. If you've seen my video sets, it explains everything. Please reference my video, Beniico, the full account, the full story, on YouTube. I don't want to rehash this 30 minutes of what happened and how I come to meet her, or why. But it's all there in the full account. This video is about now, not the past. And I'm reporting in my last videos that, in fact, I don't know what's going on. I think Beniico knows that if she revealed everything to me, that I make a video and tell you, we don't control each other, but we are what's known as quantum entanglement. We are the same soul in two different bodies. I agreed to that with her. And again, you have to reference my video on that, why that happened. It was part of survival, out of love for each other and survival. Because she said she knew they were going to be... She contacted me prior to them bringing her to me. By the way, I have a police record with Air Force Intelligence. In the early 90s, I have a police record. And it's still there. It doesn't say why Air Force Intelligence took me into custody, just that they took me into custody. I've had police ask me that in America. Why were you in their custody? Very inquisitive local police checking local people's records. That came up. And at the time, I couldn't remember when they were asking me. I don't know what you're on about. But the memories have resurfaced. And it is very plausible that Beniico's responsible for... And if the CIA keep insisting that, no, he doesn't have that connection with Beniico, we simply refuse to accept this, and keep sending our field agents out to try to convince everybody Jason's crazy through interacting with him on Facebook and private messages, and then run around. What they do is they plant their people in the subject, in the field of ufology, UFOs or whatnot. And these people present themselves as being ET contactees, go to conferences. They've always got all the money and all the connections conveniently. I'm an ordinary person. Where's my conferences and connections? I'm just making YouTube videos and a Facebook page. Whoopee. Oh. Okay. I've yet to be invited to a conference where I was speaking. I've wrote a book. I don't see big sales on it. Whatever. It gets to who it needs to get to. But it does matter if people get the message or not. It is important that this message gets out about Beniico. It is important about it is important to let you know about this connection. This is important. Not just to me, but this should be important to you. Well, these people get planted in the subject. And they suddenly have a lot of support, a lot of following. They always have money. They always manage to make those conferences and those deadlines and get invited to them. And they've always got immediately all the connections to the right people. They've always got the right connections to these people at the top. And conspicuously enough, they fall into contact with me. And how convenient. They get into these little discussions with me, and it turns into, you have to look this up, gaslighting techniques. Psychological gaslighting. Suddenly I feel like the job applicant, and they're the employer at the interview. If you find yourself in a conversation like that, FYI, for information, for those of you who don't know, I could write a whole other book about this, about life and dealing with under surveillance with the CIA and what it looks like. I've already posted one blog video, what to look for, but this is another thing to look for. Do you feel like the conversation and the person you're dealing with is feeling more like a job? You're the job applicant going for the interview, and the person you're talking to is a bit like the employer. And they're you said this to me, Susie, but the thing is, you did this, and I noticed this. Do you feel like all of a sudden this person's asking you or making you feel like that you're having to seek their approval, but you didn't ask for their approval, and you're not going to them for their approval? It all seems very much like an observational conversation, where it's very, very much, they don't talk about their lives, just you. You're most likely dealing with an undercover surveillance intelligence officer, and I'd wager you pretty much 9 out of 10 times. I'll bet you a $20 bill, and it'll be a bet I'm going to win. If there was a way to prove it, there's a way to show this person is under a fake account. This person is phony. This person is there then to turn and tell everybody, I've been talking to Jason Moss, and I think he's unstable. I have a lot of caution. I'm not really sure about that one. If you're getting conversations or information like that, yet you're getting these YouTube videos that you found interesting enough to listen to and watch and subscribe to, then you got to ask yourself, you have to ask this person, are you even watching his videos? He doesn't sound like an incognitive, incoherent person. Crinoids, purple zucchinis, and I was being chased by a man-eating tomato. Oh my God. I'm paranoid. Everyone's out to get me. Everyone's out to get me. Oh God, there they are again. The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. You know, his videos don't look like that. So what do you want about? You know. So sometimes I do get hacked on Facebook, and on occasion, I don't know who's doing it, but I get people that will be sending messages through the private message inbox, the archive folder. How they do it, I don't know. Facebook is not exactly a very safe place for conversation. It's not a very safe place, full stop. Weekly, I have to keep changing my password. Everything that I've ever put on my wall is me, okay? But sometimes the inbox is a bit questionable. I'm like, I don't remember sending that. I didn't see any of those messages. That's not me. And I'll go back and check that, in fact, you can check through Facebook's, you know, where you're signed in at. Through the security settings, you can find where you're signed in at. And I can see, wait a minute, I'm signed in 10 different servers here, all over the planet. Well, that's not me. And obviously I didn't send those messages to this one. So you have to say it's hacking at this point. Then you report it to Facebook to cover your butt. Please make all reports to Facebook of what happened. In the event that someone sends messages out that says something rather nasty or unreal, you want to cover yourself legally. It can be pretty serious. Make sure you make a report. Always cover yourself. I was a security officer once. I know. Cover yourself. Cover yourself. They used to say it all the time. Cover yourself. Cover yourself. Make a report. Make a report. Or do a blog video. You know, get a YouTube channel. Do a blog video. I don't name names, and I'm not running anybody down. But like I said, if anybody makes blog videos or starts running me down or starts doing any public rant on me, specifically, and they seem to have a bit of a following, what is their agenda? What is their motive? What are they up to? You have to ask questions. Always question everything. Question what I'm doing. Question what I'm putting out there. Question what you're being told. Don't just take it. Don't take it verbatim. There it is. It's right there in front of us. It's truth. Just listen to this, okay? But you need to question everything. And getting back to this recent stuff with Beniico, she is making more and more. I mean, we always have the same energy, same soul. We're connected. Okay, and whether the CIA want to admit that to themselves or not, I don't really care. The sightings in the area have increased. And myself and others, I won't name who they are or how they're related to me. Because every time if I say, so-and-so and I were out walking down the street, everybody's on Facebook. If I say, Bob and me were walking down the street and give names, 9 times out of 10, these unknowns will stalk that Bob guy, go after him on Facebook, and then he's right down the road from me, and he'll be getting me in private, go to his house and say, I've had some really strange messages from people stalking me, telling me not to hang out with you. That's them. Name of the game is isolate the target. I'm the target, isolate the target, isolate the target. So anyways, getting back to what I was saying, there has been a lot of contact with her. And I mean, nighttime I've been having tremendously clear dreams about Beniico. And I've been seeing more and more columns of white light patterns in my room. Sometimes I wake up right away at 7 a.m. and I look right up in the corner, and there it is. There's a column, a large column of white light just kind of flowing down, about 4 feet tall, about her size. That's the way it went down in the early 90s before I met her face to face. And I didn't know in the early 90s if I was dealing with a ghost or not. Before she contacted me by phone, then I met her in person. She clarified that by telling me that she was projecting herself, her energetic self to me. But she is not dead, she's alive. Now there's been some contention about that too. The Army Intelligence Staff Sergeant told me another thing that bothered them was the fact that she kept saying that that being is dead, that Beniico is dead, that they killed Beniico. They shot her in the head and killed her. And that you're running around saying, and this was in the early 90s, she said that when our people came to you, you were saying that she's alive, and that you saw your older self rescue her. That there was a triangular craft that flew over the courtyard in front of your house. This is what she was saying to me. And she's repeating back what I was saying at the time. And an older version of yourself arrived with glasses, a beard, and a hat. But back when I was 20, I didn't have this look. I had hair, and I didn't wear glasses, and I didn't have a beard. You know, and so I didn't identify who the man was in the experience of meeting Beniico, and the Army Intelligence, Air Force and Army Intelligence brought her to me that night. I didn't know what was going on when I met her. I hugged her. We'd already shared we became fused as one soul at this point. So it was even to surprise her. It was even to her surprise that all of a sudden there was this ship that appeared, and what I remember was this guy that looks like me appeared and said, "I'm here for Beniico." Got in an argument with the colonel and some other members of intelligence staff wearing combat gear. Eventually left with her and took off. At this point, you know, it was like I was pretty shaken. Meeting her, it was all right. That was okay. But I was scared of all these people pointing guns at us that night. They brought us together, what people call black ops, black operations. But what really shook me down, what really sobered me, what really makes a Christian out of you, what really gets you on your knees and begging for God, oh God, and you're looking for something to really ground yourself with in reality, is when you realize the man you're staring at across the street is you, but an older you. So I don't know if we're leading to that or what's going on. All I know is it's a strange paradox. She was taken by him. Now, whether they're lying to me or not, I don't know. When they came back to me, before they really tased me, it's called a brain taser, they give you amnesia. I remember getting in an argument with a post encounter with these military people, and it was a daytime encounter. They came to my house, they stood in my courtyard. I went out there to meet them, and this colonel was there again, and he showed me a photograph of a dead hybrid girl with a bullet hole to her head. And he said he was the one that pulled the trigger. He goes, "I pulled the trigger on her." He said, "Jason, I pulled the trigger. I killed her. So how can she be coming to you unless she's a ghost?" And I said, and I shouldn't even called him sir. I should have said, "You bastard." "No, sir, she's alive. She left with an older version of me." And the sergeant stood there and said, "Sir, Jason has memories, different sets of events in his head of that night." And he said, "Well, that's not possible because she's dead." He goes, "I killed her." That's what he told me, that he had killed Beniico. Well, when that sergeant was saying that she was coming off of this surveillance and coming out of this away from me, when she called me on the phone after that encounter and prior to the brain tase, she tells me, and she was very frightened at first when she called me, and I don't know, just being a human being, she was just like anybody. Maybe she thought I had the answers. She was looking for some grounding herself, and she's frantic, and she says, "The body that was in the vault at Edwards Air Force Base," because they took the body to Edwards Air Force Base, she told me, underground, the body of this hybrid girl in this big steel cold vault was gone. That the body was taken. And, she said the body wasn't there. And I said, "So they came and got her?" And she said, "No, there's not even any record of it being put in there." And I remember challenging her like that. I said, "So they came and got her?" She said, "No." I get that memory right. I said, "Yeah, I said, "So I don't know." I said, "All I know is I saw what looked like my older self." She says, "Yeah, you keep saying that. That you say you saw your older self show up and get her." I did get scared at that point. Oh man, because I've heard about paradoxes, where a repeating time loop. I love meeting Beniico. I love her. We love each other. We're sharing all this love. But when it gets into Back to the Future kind of stuff and repeating time loops, this race, this civilization can time travel. So here I am in England, in Suffolk, in Ipswich. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life right now. There is a possibility I could end up back in Texas, right back in that same house. I got family that still live in that house, where all these events happened in 1992. That very same courtyard is still sitting there. It's a bit of a mind blower. You know, I'm going through a lot right now in England I can't talk about. And there is a possibility. I do have this sister in Texas who's offered to get me free plane tickets for me and the kids. Her husband works for the airlines. And then I thought, man, this is getting freaky as hell. This is like some kind of a paradox. I mean, I'm now going down that path. And over the last month, we've been seeing, we walk at night. My kids and I take walks at night. And whether I'm with them or not, they're seeing triangular UFO craft flying very low over this house and over this neighborhood and over the park at night. The other night, my sons came back. My older boys are 17 and 18. Reported they saw four triangular craft flying silently over the field. One took off, one came back down, one hovered, spinning slowly, one went back off. 4 of them. These aren't these TR-3Bs you're hearing about, man-made TR-3Bs that make a hell of a lot of noise, apparently. These craft, 4 TR-3Bs in one public park? Really? Now, when they shined their flashlights at them, they blinked back at my kids in sequence. When the kids flashed 3 times, they flashed back. Man-made top-secret aircraft signaling members of the public? Unlikely. Unlikely. So, what is going on? The connection, this has gone up on an upscale. Is she alive or dead? Well, she's alive. She's very much alive. Because I saved her. But I haven't saved her yet. But I'm going to. And that was probably one of the hardest things to have to admit and to myself, was that memory is not only very real of seeing my older self in 1992 standing on that street that night, but it's also it's very troubling, very disturbing from the physics side of things. I have no issue with contacting her, another civilization. Well, most people probably would have an issue with that one right there. I guess my biggest issue is in a repeating paradox. But anyways, this energetic field, this love, this power, this energy, it's just electrically surging right through me, right through my stomach, right through me. There is some kind of an imminent contact about to take place, about to happen. And if I get any evidence of that, or video or picture, I'll upload. I'll put it here. I don't know at the moment what's going on. It's like I'm not being told that, but I don't want to go into details about what exactly I'm seeing between she and I. But there is a whole lot going on. I mean, there is a lot going on. Tons more than ever has been since the memories of her resurfaced in 2010. Something is happening. Something's going on. At times I feel pretty spacey. I don't feel a part of this world anymore. I don't feel grounded to this world, its reality, this physicality anymore. I don't really feel connected here physically. At times I feel like I'm in two places at once. It's all a paradox. It's about the chicken and the egg, isn't it? This is, if you're good at physics, and you gotta, this is a puzzle for you. This is something for you to think about after watching this video. Sit down and work on the, draw it out on a piece of paper. Try to sit down and figure that out. Was she killed in '92? Okay, so who saved her then? And how come they don't have any memory of that rescue? So what happened in those 18 years when I was feeling her but had no memory? Is that the ghost? So up until 2010, was that just a ghost? Okay, let's go a bit further. I got a helicopter outside. That's 2 helicopters, and there's been more of them in the area lately. Black helicopters have been around military. Okay, so let's assume she did die in '92. And so up until, say, recently in the timeline, Beniico was dead. And I've been connecting to the spirit of Beniico. And so what's happened just recently is the rescue has now happened through some kind of a causality temporal paradox. Now she's alive. And so the wisps of light that I'm seeing and the stronger sense of the presence is because she's now a living physical person again. Okay, so that's gonna mess your head up there. But I have no recollection of going back there from this part of the timeline here in the future, unless I have, and they've taken my memory. Unless they've taken that memory. Why would they do something like that? I don't know. I'd make a YouTube video and tell you about it, but I'm doing that anyways. So why would they want to hide the memory? The Zetas, the beings, and the Sasani, the hybrid beings, have their own government, their own council, their own rules, their own law. It's not all down to what she wants to do and what I want to do. It's not like that. It's not a free-for-all. They're a civilized people. And as she warned me in '92, there are bad ones in her civilization. So please bear that in mind. You could get misled. They want to take advantage of your need for contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. And they can do that and mislead you. I can't give an example of what that would look like. I can only say that it could be... Yeah, that helicopter's back. That's Apache helicopters. I don't know if you can see that or not. He's flying right over. That is surveillance, big time. That's an Apache surveillance attack helicopter. What are you doing tonight, buddy? What's the activity lately? Thanks for watching.